Alright, let's take a spin back to the 60s. You're behind the wheel of a cherry red Chevy, wind whipping through the window, and your dashboard's got more personality than half the folks you know. No fancy screens or GPS, just knobs, dials, and pure old school magic. They were your road trip buddies, making every drive feel like a scene from a movie. Today, we're recounting down the top 10 dashboard gadgets that made cruising in the 60s so darn special. Every 60s car had that cigarette lighter you'd jam in and wait for that pop. It'd come out glowing like a little campfire, ready to light your smoke or maybe a clunky old car heater. In my old man's Ford Falcon, it was like a party trick. Everybody used it. Back then, smoking was just what folks did, no big deal. By the 80s, people got smarter about health, and cars got those boring power outlets instead. Still, I can't help but grin thinking of that red-hot glow on a late-night drive. Man, ashtrays were everywhere in 60s cars. Right there on the dashboard of your Pontiac GTO, a little chrome tray for flicking cigarette ashes while you cruised. The fancy ones had lids that snapped shut, felt like a secret stash. Smoking was as normal as grabbing a burger back then. Come the 90s, folks kicked the habit, and car makers ditched the ashtrays. Those little trays, though, take me right back to road trips with my folks. Windows down, smoke curling out. Forget digital numbers. 60 speedometers were all about that needle swinging across a big, shiny dial. In a Dodge Charger, you'd watch it climb, and it felt like the car was egging you on, saying, go for it. It was alive, man. By the 80s, digital gauges started showing up, and those needles got left in the dust. But nothing beats the rush of seeing that thing dance as you hit the gas. The AM radio was your best pal out on the road. You'd smack those big, chunky buttons on your Chevy Impala's DAP, chasing a station, playing some Beach Boys or Patsy Cline. When the static cleared and the music kicked in, it was like winning the lottery. FM and cassettes took over in the 70s. Better sound, more choices. But those AM radios, they were the soundtrack to every drive-in date I ever had. Starting a 60s car was like making a deal with it. You'd pull that choke knob on the dash of your VW Bug, coaxing the engine to life like you were sweet-talking an old friend. It made you feel like you knew car. By the 70s, fuel injection made things too easy, and chokes disappeared. That little knob, though, was like a handshake with your ride every morning. No AC, no worries. 60s cars had these vent pulls, little levers you'd tug to let a gust of air blast through. In a Plymouth Barracuda, it was like opening a window to the world, cooling you off on a sweaty July day. Air conditioning got big in the late 60s, and those vents faded away. But man, they bring back memories of driving with a breeze in my hair, feeling free. Every 60s dashboard had a clock, its hands glowing softly like it was ready for a night on the town. In a Cadillac, it felt downright classy, like your car was dressed in a tux. You'd check it to make sure you weren't late for the diner. Digital clocks showed up in the 80s, cheaper, sure, but no soul. Those old clocks still make me think of cruising under a starry sky. Toggle switches were the coolest part of a 60s dashboard. Flip one for the headlights, another for the wipers each, with a click that made you feel like a pilot. In my buddy's Oldsmobile, it was like running a spaceship. By the 70s, plain old buttons took over, and toggles got phased out. But those little switchers, they made you feel like you were in charge. Pop open the glove box in a 60s car, and a tiny light would flicker on, just enough to read your crinkled roadmap. In a Ford Falcon, it was like your car was saying, I got you, pal. It felt personal, like a secret between you and the road. Overhead lights and GPS killed them off by the 80s, but that little glow still feels like a late-night adventure. The vacuum gauge was like a little coach on your dashboard, nudging you to save gas. In a Buick Skylark, you'd watch the needle and ease off the pedal to keep your wallet happy. It was quirky, but it fit an era of big cars and tight budgets. New tech in the 80s made them old news, but they were a fun way to feel like you were beating the gas pump. Well, there you go, 10 dashboard gadgets that made 60s cars feel like home. They weren't just metal and wires. They were part of the stories we told, the roads we loved. Got a memory of your own? Drop it in the comments, smack that like button, and subscribe for more trips down memory lane. Catch you on the next cruise, folks.